Hi, everyone.
Happy Wednesday. We'll wait just a few minutes so you can all join us.
If you're joining, tell us hi. Let us know where you're watching from.
Hey, Jill.
We have Ohio. I was going to say Iowa. We have a good group already. We have Debbie, Nicole, Leslie, Julie,
Robin, Marge, Tammy.
I see. Wow, they're coming in.
Goodness.
Texas, Michigan, Colorado, Pennsylvania.
They're coming in hot.
They are. I can't read them. They're coming in that fast. All right, we're going to go ahead and get started. We have a fun event planned for today. We have Leave with us, and she is part of the Wahl Elite Education team. And she's going to go over best practices for clipping your horse and picking the best clippers and blades.
If you have any questions at all, please get those in the comments. At the end of this video, one lucky viewer is going to take home the Wahl Chromato Lithium Cordless Clipper.
Awesome.
So with that, Leave, we are going to turn it over to you.
Hi, welcome everybody. So I'm Lee, and this is Miguel. He has been with me for 17 years, and he is the best model ever. And I have some things to go over with you, and then we can answer questions, and I can help you with some common clipping foibles and get you guys going on some really good clipping techniques. But the most important thing is matching your horse's needs with the correct equipment. So for this horse, he's Swedish, and he grows a lot of hair in the winter, and it's just really uncomfortable for him. So I body clip him in the fall. And I use these Lister Stars. These are a shear type clipper. You'll see the blade is quite wide, and there's lots of really sharp pointy teeth. This is a very powerful motor in there. It is corded. And this is a very nice advantage of having all of that power contained. You can really get through an extremely thick coat. Like this coat up here is his little saddle patch that I leave. That's his winter coat half set out. This is his winter coat after I clipped it and it's grown in. And this patch here is if I would clip him today. It's just a little test strip so that you can see how the clippers work with the coat in different stages. But the shears are really nice if you are doing a lot of animals in a day because they work really, really quickly. They're also nice if you have a horse that has a specifically like thick coat, either because they're a fjord or a Frisian or an Icelandic, or if they have Cushings and they have lots of that extra hair growth all throughout the year. So they're shears. Now, you don't have to always go, straight out of the gate with big power. You could use a body clipper instead. And my assistant is cross-eyed, so he can't hand me anything. Just for demonstration purposes only. So this is the KM series clipper. This is the cordless version that I have here. It also comes in a corded version. Now, the difference between the two really is not much. They look the same, they feel the same. The cordless is just a little bit heavier because it needs an extra powerful motor and battery. But you're going to get the same results out of either. I really like the cordless though because it's easy to maneuver, and I don't want to accidentally trip myself up in a cord, so I use this. But there is a kind of like an extra top secret way that you can use these. It's not really top secret, but If you're clipping a lot of horses or you're taking a long time to clip, which is absolutely positively normal and totally like, you know, a human thing to do, especially if you're just learning how to clip. If the battery, which usually runs for about 90 minutes or so, sometimes even more, if it starts to run low, you can just plug it in and run it as it's surging. So you can get corded and cordless out of this. And that's why I really like this one. These are really, really nice clippers to have, not only to body clip a horse with like a less thick coat. I would say basically anything besides Cushing's, Fjords, Icelandics, Frisians, you can get away with using a body clipper. Body clippers can also be used as trimmers. And I'll show you some examples of trimmers here. This is the Pramato. I have the white one with the little rose gold, and this is the Creativa. This has a little bit of a different shape to it. It's weighted a little bit differently. But the trimmers are smaller. They're more lightweight. They're typically cordless. And these are good for the little things, the tidying up, the touches, like maybe trimming the outside of the ears. Maybe there's a lot of fetlock hair and your horse has a mullet on the back of his, you know, fetlock. You can trim that down. You can also create designs on your horse. If you're body clipping and you want a shamrock or a heart or a star, you can use these to outline your shape. They're good for making the shape of the saddle pad during a body clip. They're good for bridle pads, and they're really good for wounds because you do want to get all of the hair around a wound away from the wound so that your medication can actually get to where it needs to go and not interfere with hair. So these are the trimmers. And again, the body clippers, these can body clip and trim. And then the trimmers are the more lightweight guys that are going to, like, you know, do the fine tuning and things like that. So now that we know that, now we need to think about what blades we're going to put on. And we saw the big blades from the Lister Stars. And I have them here. Let me see if I can line up the camera. They come in two pieces. There's a comb and there's a cutter. And these work together and they slide side by side to do all of that heavy duty cutting. You can see they're really, really long and long teeth and a little bit pokey. I probably should not do that. And these are labeled as fine, medium, coarse. And the label that you use is going to correspond to how much hair is removed. So the fine set of blades for the Lister Stars takes off a lot of hair. There's not much left. The medium leaves a little bit more. And you can work your way up all the way to the cover coat, which leaves 5 millimeters of hair, which doesn't work for all horses. Sometimes you would maybe find that for like cattle or sheep in the show ring or things like that. But usually the mediums are great for body clipping a horse. And then when we get to the clippers, these have detachable blades. You just put your thumb on the back, and then it pops forward on a hinge, and you can change them out that way. They're all numbered. This is a number 10. And this leaves, let me see here, 1.8 millimeters of hair. And I know that because this clipper blade tells me it's labeled with the number 10, and it says 1.8 millimeters. So I know how much hair is going to remain on my horse. And these are the detachables. You can use these on any style clipper that has this hinge. So the KMs, and there's a couple of other Wahl clippers that also have this hinge attachment. Now for body clipping, I typically go with a number 10 blade. But if you want to leave a little bit more hair on, you could go with a number 8.5, which is something that works for a lot of people. Or you might decide that your horse's extra slightly part get clipped with the number 10, and maybe you want to leave a little bit more hair on their face or their legs. You could switch to an 8.5 there and just give them, you know, a couple more hairs for some warmth. So those are the detachable blades. They do go up all the way to like a number 40, number 50, and those are going to be more for veterinary use. They're going to clip very, very close to the skin like they're prepping for a treatment or a procedure. And sometimes it's necessary to have that, and sometimes it's really handy to have a blade that can clip back. Now, the clippers, the trimmers, I should say, these have a 5-in-1 blade system. And there's a little toggle here on the bottom that goes side to side. And this will switch this clipper blade from a number 9 all the way to a number 40. So you can go from 9, 10, 15, 30 to 40, depending on how much hair you want to remove. Now, I will tell you, like, it took me a while to figure out, like, which side was 9, which side was 40. You know, everybody goes up that learning curve. The new blades have an ingenious little system at the very bottom. They tell you how much hair remains, so you know if you're body clipping, you want it on 9 or 10, and you don't start on a 40. Perfect. This genius. It's almost like a little cheat sheet, if you will, for the clippers. And these just pop in and off, in and off, in and out. Now, here's another not really top secret, kind of secret thing. When you're putting the clipper blades onto your clipper, doesn't matter if you're using trimmers or body clippers, you want to set it in its little house, and then you want to turn your clippers on, and then you press down, because you want all the pieces and parts to line up perfectly. You're going to reduce rattle and reduce noise when you turn the clippers on before you snap the blade in. All right, that's machinery and blades. If anybody has any questions about that stuff, feel free to stop, and I will answer questions as we go along. Or if you guys want to pepper me at the end with, you know, a barrage of firework questions, we can do that too.
Here's one quick question about that particular clipper. How long will the battery last?
So the trimmers, like, I usually get almost like 60 to 90 minutes out of them. For the cam cordless, I get usually 90 minutes. And I'll tell you a little secret to making the most out of the battery in your clippers. And that is to have a very clean horse and a very sharp new blade that you oil frequently. Because when you reduce friction, the motor doesn't have to work as hard. Your horse's hair is not going to pull, his skin's not going to tug. You're going to get an even finish, and your battery's going to last a little longer.
So do the blades get hot when you're running them? And if so, how do you help with that?
Hot blades. So hot blades should not actually happen. If all of the stars align and your horse is ridiculously, you know, spotless clean, and you've used like a layer of sheen product on him to help the clipper blade slide through, and your blade is brand new, and you are stopping every 5 minutes to clean out the blade and oil the blade, your blade should not be getting anything more than warm. If you're getting hot, that means that you've got either a blip in your program, or you might need to have your stuff serviced. And I will say that when you're troubleshooting difficulty with clippers, almost all of it comes back to, is your horse clean enough? Are your blades oiled? Are they new and sharp? And everything else kind of is just, you know, is maintenance. Now, the stars can't always align for that. It's really hard to clip a horse for their comfort and health in the fall if you don't have the means to give them a full bath, and instead you hot towel them. And then you just do the best you can, like we all do. And your clippers are going to survive. But it is nice to take the time every 5 minutes to not only brush the hair from the blade, but to apply some coolant. Now, this is an aerosol coolant, and I'm not going to do it because this is the one sound that he does not like. And I would like this feet to stay on the ground today. But this is aerosol coolant. And after you brush the hair out, you could just spray the blade both sides, let it sit for a minute, wipe it off with a towel. But here's the thing, coolant evaporates, and your blades still need some guarding against friction. So that's when you have to come in with your clipper oil. And this little jar right here, this is the secret to keeping your blades sharp and clean and to getting a really nice finish for your horse. And for the most part, you just need to put clipper oil. Let me see if I can get this in the camera. Like a dot across the blade. And then sometimes down the sides where you see the two parts of the blade connect. and then you can turn it on, and then you're good to go. And you'll see that I did not actually put this blade on all the way. There. The pressure is getting to me. So that is way more than necessary about first and blades getting hot. There you go.
What about so once your clipper is dull, do you sharpen them, or do you just get a new one?
This is a great question, and it really depends on what blade we're talking about. So, for example, I'm going to bring out the medium blade from the Lister Stars. The teeth on this thing, the teeth are huge. They're quite large. The teeth on this 5-in-1 blade are really, really small. There's not a lot of surface area to sharpen these. It can be done, but there's just not a lot of surface area, because to sharpen a blade, you have to strip it down a little bit and create like a new point on it. These have a lot more metal that you can work with. You're going to get more sharpenings out of this and a detachable than you would out of a 5-in-1. But luckily, hopefully, nobody's body clipping their entire horse with a 5-in-1, because it's going to take you forever. So, right? So that kind of, the teeth length kind of determines how many sharpenings you can get. Now, if you want to extend the time between sharpenings, clean horse. Again, clean horse. And oil. All right, really good question there. Is there another question, or should I just keep going on?
Should we have her just say the names of those clippers?
Oh, can you really quick just tell us the names of both of those clippers one more time?
The trimmers, the small ones?
Yes.
Okay. So these are the Creativos, and you'll see their arcs. And I love these for working on legs because they sit in my hand really nicely. They're nice and balanced. And if I'm using them for an upward motion,
how do you know?
These are really, really nice to have. I will also show you on the Creativos, they have a pop-out battery. And they come with 2 batteries. You can also buy extra batteries if you need, which is also really handy. Batteries charge in a stand that you just plug into the wall. So that's the Creativa. Comes in lots of fun colors. And this is the Chromato. This one has internal batteries, so you plug this one into the wall. And just like the KMs, if your battery runs out, you can just plug them directly into the wall and use them as they're charging. I really like these also because they have a little bit of a heavy weight to them. I wouldn't call them like heavy clippers, but there's just a nice feel in the hand. And the way they're designed works really well as a pencil. And that comes to the important later when we decide what kind of fancy design we're going to put on Miguel today. I'll show you guys how to do that if we have time. But I like to hold these as a pencil and create lines and things like that when I'm doing a body clip, or if I'm just having fun and putting a little heart or an initial on his rump. All right, there you go.
All right.
How do you know what replacement blades to buy?
Good question. Replacement blades are going to be based on what you already have. So if you have a trimmer that uses a 5-in-1, you want to get the 5-in-1. Now, hold on, I had one here just a second ago. So you'll see I've got blades in 2 colors. There's kind of like a stainless color, and then I've also got this black color. The stainless is the competition edge, and the black is the diamond edge. They're both really excellent. The diamond has an extra coating on them that helps longevity. So these are going to go many, many uses between clippings before you need sharpening. But if you're using a body clipper, you get a detachable. If you're using a trimmer, you get a 5-in-1. And if you are using the shears, you want to get the multi-pack that has these 2 big ones in it. Now, the only time you really have to worry about like what number to get is if you are looking for new detachables or if you're looking for new blades for shears. And then you just have to decide, do you want to stick with the 10? Most body clippers come with the 10 as part of the package. Or do you want to switch to like the 8.5 and leave a little bit more here? Or do you want to switch to the 15 and take off a little bit more here? Just depends on what your horse's needs are. Some people prefer to use like a number 15 or a 30 for the bridle path and the ears to make things really, really crisp. I prefer to leave things a little bit hairy, simply because he lives outside and I want as much bug protection on him as I can. So when I am doing a tidy up and a trim, I'm going to use the 9 or the 10 to keep things a little bit longer. So hope that was clear as glass, not mud.
Tammy asked if you could clip a wet coat.
Oh, you can. You can absolutely clip a wet coat. It will end in disaster.
No.
I don't mean disaster like, you know, the fire engine's going to have to come out and save you or something. It is, it creates a lot of goop and gum in between the teeth of the clipper blades. So like every 2, you know, strokes, you're going to have to stop and clean everything out. It also really interferes with the oil and the friction reduction. You can get rusted clipper blades. And most importantly, it's really uncomfortable for your horse because all of that moisture getting stuck in between the teeth makes the hair pull as you're clipping along. So your horse is going to be really uncomfortable. And all that pulling and tugging on your horse is going to make it look like you clipped him with a blindfold and 2 rusty spoons. If you can, wait till your horse is dry. And that will definitely give you a much better experience for your horse. It saves your clipper blades from a lot of unnecessary wear and tear. And it's just easier for them to be dry.
We had several questions on how loud they are.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know.
So, right? All right.
Demonstrate each one.
I'll start with the trimmers. Can you guys even hear that?
No.
All right. It's very quiet. These are the cordless. They're a little bit louder,
I wonder if that's just...
but they don't vibrate a whole lot. The trimmers barely vibrate at all. These vibrate minimally, and I need to plug in the stars, so hang tight. You're going to get a full body shot of Miguel here in his big giant hay belly.
That's a good question. Yeah,
I also like, what I really, really like about a lot of the Wahl products is the cords are ridiculously long, but they're also ridiculously strong. I mean, this thing is reinforced. Like, I mean, I can muck up a lot of stuff. I'm not going to be able to muck up the cord on this thing. All right, let me pop this in.
There's no good place for that anymore.
All right, here we go. Ready?
Can't really hear that one either.
We can't hear it through here,
It's
so
really
I'm
quiet.
not sure if it's the phone.
I'm going to get even closer.
Okay.
You can hear that.
hear.
Again, a little bit louder, not a whole lot of vibration. Obviously, he doesn't care about it. So it's not maybe, but you know, he's been there, done that. Horses will get used to the sound if you just expose them to the sound in short bursts over many days or weeks. And then they're like, oh, it's that thing that makes the noise. And then my mom gives me a cookie and then everybody's happy. So any other questions?
How long are the cords on the corded ones?
Oh, I wish I could give you an exact measurement, but I'll tell you that this is a 12 by 12 area, and I've got one outlet there, and it's long enough to go to the other corner and still have extra for me to maneuver around his face. So bigger than my wingspan, but they are plenty long enough. Plenty long enough.
We have a lot of questions on where to send blades to get sharpened.
Really good question. Ideally, you're going to send them to Wahl because they're Wahl clipper blades that you're using, and they can help. Their service department is absolutely like chef's kiss, really nice. If that is not in your wheelhouse and you need something different, many tack stores have drop-off services. You could also ask your veterinarian, because vets that perform surgeries and actually need to tend to wounds and things like that always have clippers with them. They need those blades sharpened. So call your vet, call your tack store, or send them into Wahl.
Does the T85 blade leave the hair longer than the 10 blade? I think that's what they're asking.
Yeah, so the T85 is from a different manufacturer than Wahl. It's roughly equivalent to the number 10. I mean, it might be like 0.12 millimeters difference, but they're fairly equal in terms of how much hair remains on your horse. These are really good questions. You guys must have a bunch of keyboards.
All right. There's a lot of questions. We're trying to get through them here.
Do the clippers have a guarantee and warranty? And all these clippers she's talking about today, you can get at Valley Vet, valleyvet.com. So we just have some questions on guarantee, warranty.
Mm-hmm. I will say that the Wahl products are guaranteed. I believe that most of the 5 years, do not quote me on that. Do not quote me on that. But there is a guarantee with these. I will also add that if there's one instruction manual for you to read in your entire life, not your microwave, not your washing machine, not any of that, just read your clipper manual, please, 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 please. Because there are things that you should do, best practices for each type of clipper that you get that will keep the warranty intact, and you don't want to muck that up. Also, the instructional manuals give you phone numbers and addresses and resources and troubleshooting tips and all the kind of stuff that can save you from the Google rabbit hole. So again, yeah.
Lee asked, what's the best pair of clippers for someone new to clipping a horse?
So then I would start to look at, that's a really good question. Then I would start to look at what are your clipping needs. If your horse and your climate agree all year long and you don't think body clipping is in your future, start with a set of trims because they're handy. You can use them everywhere. If you think that your horse's coat and the climate that you live in is going to warrant a body clip down the road, pick up a pair of body clippers, because then you can do the big stuff and the trimming. Okay. And then if you have a yak or a woolly mammoth, you could go for the Lister Tears.
All right. Lynn asks, how do you get the body clipping to be even and not striped?
So we've already talked about the two most important things: oiling a clean, sharp blade and a very, very clean horse. There's a little bit of practice. And there's a couple of techniques that I can show you that helped me figure things out. One of them is just a practice, and especially if you have a very tall horse, when you're doing areas like the rump or the neck, get a step stool, because you'll be able to have a much better arm angle. Instead of having to clip up here, you can clip down here. So get up there and do that. And it's just a matter of, honestly, a little practice. So he's mostly clean. He didn't roll before his call time. And you'll see I just oil my blades just to be sure. And I like to do what's called, I call it the squish and slide. And especially for areas like elbows and even larger body areas, it's nice if the skin can be really taut. That's going to help your clipper blades go over something nice and easy. So for this area here, I'm just going to make a little pot with this hand and just swipe. I know I made it look really, really easy. But again, I did the prep work. Clean horse, new blade, lots of oil. You can also just kind of, do this. And then when you get into the areas like elbows and things like that, and jaws, and sometimes even the lower legs, if you press the skin and then slide it across something, then you can get into little nooks and crannies. It's also very, very nice to always have your hand on your horse as you're clipping so that you can feel if they're going to move into you or not. This is just a safety thing for me. That way, you might not be hearing something that they've been alerted to because of the clipper sound. And if they're going to move, you have something there to tell you that they could possibly move into you. The other question is, do you have to clip against the direction of the hair growth? And the answer is mostly. So here I was clipping tail to front. And you can just go along and I change the angle as things change, as the direction of the hair growth changes. But I'm going to much things up here for myself. And I'm just putting even pressure. And I'm maybe weighting one side of the blade more than the other. So he looks a little bit like Rusty Spoons, right? And it's fine. It's totally fine because you're just going to take your clippers and you're going to go in every direction. If you've got lines or uneven patches, you're just going to go to town and do it this way and that way, or up and down and backwards, and point them down and point them up until everything smooths out. But for the most part, you want to follow, going against the direction of the hair growth. And I've still got even lines here. And that's fine. I'm just going to go back over it until they're ready. I hope that helps. But again, it's practice and starting with clean tools and sharp blades with oil.
We had another question. Is it better to have ceramic or regular blades?
Honestly, I prefer the regular blades. Simply because I feel like they're more affordable and they're easier to get sharpened if you need that. But if go crazy, if you want to try them, great. I just kind of have always used the metal ones and it's worked out.
Okay. Best clippers for a bridle path.
We had some other questions along that line. So I think if you just went over the clippers and what they were best, the areas that were best used for.
So for a bridle path on like a very, medium coated horse, like quarter horse thoroughbred, something that's not a yak like Miguel. For bridle path, I'm just going to use my trimmers. And I would probably start them out at a number 9 or 10 just to get the bulk of that main hair out. And then I might change it to like a 30 and go back in and smooth and tidy up any like little ridges that bridle path might have left. Now, because his mane is about 3 inches thick, even at the bridle path, I use these just for more power because it's such a thick mane to go through. So it really depends on what your horse's coat is like. Bridle path trimmers. I don't clip whiskers, but if I did, I would use trimmers. I can get away with trimmers or clippers. It's hard for me to use these shears on anything but the big parts of their body, just because they're so wide, and I want a little bit more narrow of a blade to get into the nitty-gritty parts of a horse. Any other questions?
There were some questions about tips for clipping legs and also the safest way to clip the belly.
Oh, the safest way to clip the belly. If you are at all uncertain about how your horse is going to react to anything, definitely don't train them to be clipped on the day that you need them to be clipped. So, back up, and then you can work in some positive reinforcement over time so they get used to being around the clippers and they know that the sound and the feel of the clippers means a reward. Because you want to train their brains that when they see these guys, they're going to get a positive experience. Now, I choose bellies fuzzy simply because, and this could be different for a lot of different people for a lot of different reasons. His belly doesn't sweat. He lives outside, and it gets really, really, really cold in the winter here. And I just want his belly and his legs to be fuzzy when that cold weather hits. So I don't even clip it. If I was going to clip it, I would definitely have a friend with me that could stand on the same side of my horse as me to watch their body language, distract them, maybe move a leg out of the way. And then you just kind of have to get down and move things around and get it done that way. But it is a nice smooth area, so you typically don't run into any like big road bumps or things like that. So first, that's a place your horse needs clipping, and if so, then you work up to it and you have a friend help you hold.
Okay. Will clipping
Really with the questions.
will clipping in?
You guys want to see some leg stuff?
Yes.
Okay.
We had a lot of questions on that.
Yeah. Wow, his legs are a hot mess right now. That's fine. That's fine. I'm going to see if I can lower my camera down and be able to look at the legs. So hang tight for some technical changes with my tripod, see what we can get going up on here. I have to go handheld. Hang on, guys. I'm going to try not to make you guys too dizzy. And I'm going to be doing this like one-handed, so bear with me. I get a good shot of his legs. There we go. So you'll see his legs are still kind of fuzzy from the winter. And you can do lots of different things here. You can, like his fetlock mullet is kind of growing in. So you can just take your clippers and rake down the leg to trim that mullet. Is somebody laughing at me? So that's one way you can do legs, and that just takes a little bit off the top. Now, if you want to clip all the way down, that's a different story. This is really hard for me to do because I have to hold the camera, but I'll try and show you guys what I would do to clip these legs. So in one hand, I would have my clippers in the other hand. I would take the skin and I would slide it to the side so I can go in between here. And you can just go against the grain. And I'll also mention here that when you are clipping areas like this that are quite thick, if you just use one edge of your blade, one corner of your blade, things go much better. And here's where I would get to a point. He says we're finished. So that's two different ways that you can approach legs. One is to just trim the outer edges, and then or you can go all the way down. Either way is fine. I do like in the winter it's not such a big deal to clip all the way down. In the what months are we're going into summer? In the summer, I do like to have a little bit of extra hair on those lower legs. just because I feel like it's better for their for fly protection. You guys got me all like, now I got to try and get my.
We had a question on here, and this video will be it will live on our Facebook page and our YouTube page, so you guys can go back and watch it whenever you need.
I would also tell you that I have a ton of leg trimming videos that you can find on Wahl's like TikTok page and Wahl's social media as well. But you guys will have this one too, so.
Yeah. We did have somebody ask if you were going to demonstrate how to do a fun shape.
They would like a star.
You would like a star. Okay, first of all, I'm going to preface this by saying, not an artist by any stretch of the imagination. Not an artist. But what I do have is a gray horse and a pen. So hang on, let me grab my pen. I do like using stencils for doing shapes and designs, because stencils allow you can even like tape a stencil to them and then use your clippers to make the design. Let me see if I can find a section of him that hasn't already been designed.
Poor Miguel.
That section is like where he rolled earlier. So we're gonna do one where I normally wouldn't do one, but it's clean, fresh hair. So I'm gonna find the place where I'm going to work on, which is, see if I can get the camera. There we go. And I'll just do a little star. Again, not an artist. What actually I'm going to do this like for realsies, I would get on candy.com and download a shape, cut it out, and then tape it to them. But here's kind of a star. Now I'm going to get my clippers and I'm going to set them to the number 40. This is going to take off the most amount of hair. And then I'm going to hold them like a pencil. And then I'm just going to score the edge of the design like I'm using a pencil. And it is easier on like longer coats. You can also just press the clipper blade into the hair. So all we're doing here is we're making a boundary, a line, if you will. And then when you have that line, you can start. I almost made a mistake on national television. It's an important thing because you're using something to cut very close to get your edge, but you want to cut to the 9 or 10 so that your horse isn't completely bald in that spot. That's what you know. I've only done that about 19 times. And then here, back and forth until your design starts to come into shape. I'm going to give him an extra banana today for this horrible, not arty star that I'm putting on him. But you'll see how huge this is too. So if you're going to be clipping a saddle pad, I take a numb a half pad, and just lay it on him, and then use my pencil around the half pad, and that gives me a border to clip against. So hope that helped. I really should have like hired an assistant for this, but oh well, next time.
We had this question come in. Will clipping ruin the summer coat if I clip in the spring?
My favorite question ever. So when horse sheds, they get rid of their winter coat and then the new one comes in. And there is a chance if you clip in the spring that you're going to chop off part of that summer coat. Does it matter? No, it doesn't, because it's going to smooth out. It's going to even out. Just like you'll see here on Miguel, he had the unclipped section, he had the clipped section that grew in over the winter, and then this is a fresh clip. So I can guarantee you today that I clipped off part of his summer coat coming in. It doesn't really matter because it's going to keep coming in and it's going to keep shedding and keep growing back in throughout the summer season. This is why if your horse has a wound or a procedure that you need an area clipped for, you don't have to wait until a shed and a regrowth. It's just going to grow in a couple of weeks' time. So I would clip when your horse needs it. And that's kind of a standard answer. It doesn't matter if it's the spring or the summer or the fall or the winter. If clipping can help your horse be more comfortable, or it can help their overall skin and coat health, then that's what you should do. And you should do it when they need it. It all evens out in the end. Trust me, it's fine. Everything's fine. But that's a really good question. Yeah. Any others like that?
I had one. When is it appropriate to use a blocking blade? My mare is older with Cushing's and has a wicked thick coat.
So I am not an expert on the blocking blades at all by any stretch of the imagination. I prefer to use clipper combs, which I don't think I have one here with me. And if I do, it's in my bag, which is somewhere in the pit of my horse person trunk, because we know how that goes. But clipper blades or clipper combs slide on, and they just basically they extend the length of your comb so there's more space between the blade and your horse. And I prefer to use those rather than a blocking blade. But they're just like any other blade. It just takes a little bit of practice with good prep work, and it's fine. I've been loving these questions. Your audience is like, they're on it today. It's like they're stump the wall lady.
Okay.
Are you guys still leaving questions?
We're just trying to go through all of them. There's a lot.
Perfect.
So,
I'm
just sorting through ones you've already answered.
oh, perfect. I think I pretty much covered a lot of basic techniques and a lot of tips and stuff like that. The most important thing really is just to prepare your horse, and then be okay with pressing on them and sliding skin over so you can get a taut area to clip. And then you don't have to follow the rules. Like, nobody says that your horse has to have a very specific trace clip. If your horse sweats in weird places all over their body and you clip circles around the sweaty places so they look like Swiss cheese, if that is best for your horse's health, then that's what you should do. Like, you don't have to follow a pattern. I clip plenty of horses that don't have the saddle pad left. He does better with that in the winter to have a little bit of extra cushion. Some horses do worse to have that extra cushion. So you just kind of have to tailor not only what blades and clippers you use, but tailor the design that you use to your horse's health needs. And then, you can leave legs long, you can leave them semi-long, you can clip them all the way down. It really it gets to be up to your horse and you. And what the weather's doing, for sure. Yeah.
Okay.
Any others? Scrolling.
Yes, we're scrolling.
Yep. That's the battery one. Okay.
I'm also happy to answer any questions on this feed in the comments too.
This one's a good one. Tracy asked if the clipper blades are interchangeable between older models and the newer models. Probably depends.
If I'm going to say yes, if your clippers have the detachable blade like this, you can use older detachable blades. Some of the clippers have a 2-blade system like the Stars do that actually screw in. Wahl makes this amazing clipper, the Ion or the Pro Ion, and that has a little lever that you can switch between, I think, a 10, a 15, and a 30. And that is a 2-blade system that you have to screw in like you would screw in for the star. You can see the little screws right there. If you have a clipper like that, obviously you have to find the blades that work with that. But, you know, most of the clippers that horse people use are going to have this easy peasy detachable hinge. And they work great.
Angela asked if there's a good product to apply to the horse before clipping.
Oh yeah, so I like some sheen products, depending on the horse. Some of the sheen products tend to have a lot of drying ingredients like alcohol. Most of them have alcohol as part of their ingredients. Some have more than others and can be really drying for the coat. But you can use a sheen spray like that. I also will use a grooming oil as kind of a way to do like a conditioning treatment on the coat. You could also use a conditioner, meaning you would shampoo your horse and then you'd apply a conditioner and then you'd rinse. If you wanted to use a grooming oil, I basically just mix it with a bunch of warm water and sponge it on very, very lightly. You can use maybe a couple of capfuls of grooming oil in a gallon of hot water and sponge that on for a nice sheen. But those are the big ones, like a conditioner that you would rinse off a grooming oil or a sheen product. And I've been seeing videos lately about after you clip to bring the shine back. And one of the tricks, and I learned this from some eventing grooms that I met years and years ago, they would actually use mayonnaise on the horse after the clip. Basically, you would coat your horse like a sandwich with mayonnaise, and then either let it sit for a couple hours or even overnight, and then rinse it off. And like, I just can't even. That's not the technique for me. So help your horse after clipping. I would always groom a ton. Really, really get in there with a lot of nice curry comb action. Using a soft brush, a finishing brush will help smear a lot of your natural oils around. You could add a grooming oil after to bring some of the luster back and to condition the coat. And if you're okay with mayonnaise, then you should try it. And then tell me how it is.
Okay, Sarah asks, she says, I clip cattle, goats, and swine also. Which would you recommend for a general use for all species?
Honestly, I wish I could answer that question because I don't know. Like, I know that Wahl has a ton of very, very wonderful products for a lot of the other animals, but my lane is horses. Like, this is this is what I understand. There's I'm very limited on space for things other than horses. But I will tell you that both Valley Vet and Wahl have really in-depth websites, so that if you are looking for a product on Valley Vet's website, the descriptions of the product and the uses and the care and all of those items that are important to you are going to be there. So you can look at different models and get your answers and compare and contrast that way. I just kicked that back to you guys.
We'll get back to you.
We'll find somebody to answer that question for you. Okay.
I got stumped. Well done.
I think we've covered
Just about everything.
most everything.
Yeah. We have it for a long time too. This is great.
Yes. Lots of great
Awesome.
questions. All right. Did you have anything to add before we draw a winner?
Oh, you're going to draw a winner now? Sweet, do it. Let's do it.
Sweet, do it.
Okay.
All right.
One lucky
Yes,
viewer
sir.
is going to win the
Ooh,
Wahl
clippers.
Promato cordless.
All right. And the winner is Lynn Cunningham.
Woohoo! Congratulations.
And Lynn, congratulations. And also, we want to see what kind of design you put on your horse's rump.
Yes. We want to see you put a star.
Please
on
send
there.
pictures.
All right.
All right, Lee, we want to thank you so much for joining us. This has been an
was great.
awesome live video. Lots of
Thank
great
you guys so
information.
much for having me. Miguel gets extra treats today.
Yes,
And
thank you for your mom.
everyone, if you can just erase my star from your memories. Good go.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. A couple of quick announcements before we leave you today.
Okay, guys, I finally got this. We've got a couple giveaways going on right now, so make sure you get entered before they're gone. So we have the Positively Awesome giveaway going on. 5 people will win. So that deadline for that is May 5th. And we also have the Spraymaster Spectacular giveaway going on. And the deadline for that is May 12th. So get entered so you get your chance in.
And join us again next Wednesday. We will be live with Kinetic Vet covering spring allergy season. It is here.
It is here. Yes, it is.
Until then, goodbye. We'll see you next week.
Thank you, Leave, so much.
Thank you, guys.
Bye.
Bye.